Hey everybody, this is Wise Guy Talks. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. In tonight's episode, we're going to have Open Mic Friday. I've got Charlie, which will be on your left, my right, and the wild man, Mr. Cato.
Oh, not Charlie?
Look,
Like
stage right.
Forrest Gump, Charlie.
I got it. Okay, Charlie, like North Vietnamese Charlie.
Yes.
Yeah, because you were going to say goop, but we don't want you to use those kind of language on the show. So,
Yes.
anyhow, well, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back with you. This is Wise Guy Talks, coming back with you on episode number 12. Charlie is going to describe basically, so the concept of tonight's show is to pick out one historic figure that you could sit down with if you wanted to talk to them, if you wanted to drink with them, smoke a cigar, you know, skateboarding, it doesn't matter. You'd probably want to do the skateboarding thing there, right? You skateboard, don't you? You'd look good in skates. But so anyhow, that's what we're going to do. So Charlie, take it away. Who would you like to talk to throughout history if you had a choice? And what would you do?
Before we get going here, why don't you explain
Who you are?
Why in the heck I'm sitting here? I mean, there's a reason for
Because
this.
Joey couldn't come over.
There you go.
Joey was too busy, so I needed a seat filler. And I go, who do I know that's got that's pretty witty, he's pretty funny, and has got a little provenance under his belt? Matter of fact, let me just say that Charlie was a city councilman 3 terms, right?
Yes.
How did you like that?
Sucked.
Advice to anybody that wants to run for city council: if you think you're going to change the world, good luck.
Therapy is probably cheaper, and don't be associated in any way, shape, or form with the constituents that put you in office, because they will rip you apart once you're in office.
That's right, because they want to own you. And I think
Exactly.
some of our local city councilmen here should take some advice from that. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean?
So you're telling me don't ever run for city council?
Well, you would never make it.
Well,
I would never make it.
Because, you know, South Lake's a very racist city.
Very, especially
Yeah.
against Asians.
Yeah, they hate Asians.
Yeah.
You know, they pack them up at nighttime, midnight. They've got the Asian truck that goes around and sweeps them up.
Yeah, I had a few, crosses burning at night.
Are you Buddhist?
Crosses.
So, anyhow, no, you went to a Catholic church, though, right?
Yeah, I went to
School?
Catholic school.
So you're a pseudo-Catholic, then. You understand how it works.
Very pseudo. I'm pseudo on a lot of things.
So who do I want to sit down, drink some whiskey with, and smoke a stogie? George S. Patton.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, I've read several books on him. And anyway, he was, Trump could take a lesson from George. And anyway, the bottom line is that accomplishing things, being a doer, okay, getting things behind you, being proactive is one thing. Being politically proactive is something completely different, okay? And Patton got things done. Okay, you tell this guy to go take that hill. He's taken the hill, and he's taken a couple miles beyond the hill just so that they don't come back and take the hill. I mean, he is an amazing individual and extremely interesting and controversial. And so that's why.
So Trump was not those things? He was not interesting, and he wasn't controversial?
Oh, he was. But I'll tell you what, he was president in the 21st century. And so that's a little different than being a general in the 20th century.
But see, General Patton, old blood and guts, was basically able to tell that lieutenant, that captain, that colonel, to go see the hill, take the hill, and they'd sure as hell do it. But Trump, on the other hand, had an FBI, had a CIA, had every intel agency in the book working against him from the very beginning, actually before he even came on. So I don't see that as a fair comparison.
Well, the problem is that you're absolutely right. He had to fight everybody for every inch that he ever took.
The damn generals.
And
the generals willing to stay in every freaking war out there.
Exactly. But the bottom line is that the Big Orange, he was such a he put himself in those crosshairs. He put it all by himself. He did that.
What choice did he have, though? I mean, if you're going to go up against these institutions and try to call them out, you have to put yourself in the crosshair, and that's why people like me voted for him.
Well, I know, and he accomplished so much. He accomplished more than the last 3 presidents all rolled up into one in 4 years. But I'm a fan. I tell you what, the biggest loss of this country is that we're not going to be able to see what Melania is wearing the next 4 years. So anyway, I'm a fan of.
But we are gonna get to learn everything about Dr. Jill. I like that DR, Dr. Jill. I have a doctor in nomacity.
Do we have a doctor in the house just in case you fall down and
I can't. It's amazing. A liberal, all they have to do is lift their finger and they get credit for it. Obama, he got the Nobel Peace Prize 6 months into his presidency, and he had not even delivered a single plane load full of unmarked cash to the Iranians. He had done nothing major like that, and they're already giving this asshole Nobel Peace Prize. Unbelievable. And Joe has done nothing but for the last 48 years lie about everything he's done. He's lied about law school. He's lied over and over again. He's been caught on it. And yet this miserable, compliant press lets him continually get away with it. And it's sickening. And my liberal friends that voted for this guy, I'm so disappointed in him. I really am. Off the chart. First time in my life, by the way.
I want to know if Joe actually did kick Corn Pop's ass. That's what I want to know.
Go down the list of the ass.
Or is that another lie?
But apparently a compliant left loves his bullshit. And no matter how much he feeds out, and in the Marine Corps, we call them chump cookies, and he hands out chump cookies left and right. And these people, they just gobble them down. They gobble them down. I got into an argument with a friend of mine on Facebook from Missouri, blue collar, union, the whole 9 yards. I go, you expect Joe to change your life in the next 4 years. What did he do in the last 48? How did he change your life in the last 48? And what the hell makes you think it's going to be different this time?
I think we've reached a point.
That microphone sucks.
I'm sorry. We've reached a point where there is no way that you can convince your liberal friends to see your side of things. There is no way that there is no personality out there. There's no one out there, whether now or in the future, that I can see that can bridge this gap. It's impossible.
It's not impossible. There's always events. There's meteoric events that happen that are black swan events that we're not expecting. They happen.
We've been talking about this for years now, about that side is wrong, this side is right. Don't you agree?
I do. I do. I think you're on point.
I think we've reached the point where there's no return when it comes to.
I disagree.
Well, let me just.
I'm more of an optimist.
Old Mitch McConnell, I thought he was pretty cool a couple of days ago. He said, "Okay, let's get this stimulus package going." He says, "Let's take what you want, okay, which is support for the states, and what I want, which is liability or something like that, and let's toss those out. Let's talk about what's in the middle." And so I think he was pretty cool when he did that. And hopefully they'll get some kind of a stimulus package in the next.
I'm not talking about compromises in the House and in the Senate. I'm talking about spiritually, politically.
I get it.
We've come to the point where there's half of the country does not believe in God.
I get it.
But
how do you convince the other half that you're believing in God, that God is the foundation of this country?
So great point. But I think we can't leave the issue that Charlie brings up. What are they looking at? 900 billion stimulus. And I believe about a third of that is going to go towards the far left states that have run their dicks into the dirt, that have destroyed businesses left and right. Watch the frickin' conga line on a live satellite feed of all the people leaving New York, California, Chicago, Philadelphia. They are headed to Florida and Texas so fast it's unbelievable. They're jacking up our real estate rates. Our highways are getting packed with them. And more disgustingly, though, they're starting to fill up our schools with, very far left liberal wingnuts. They've destroyed Austin. I mean, Austin, I don't even recognize it anymore, what they've done to it. And it's the same damn experiment that's failed time and time again in New York and LA. I say it time and time again, Chicago, and they think it's going to be different this time. It's
So-
going to be different this time.
So you're telling me that you don't have hope that these people that come over is going to change their political views?
I think people doing exactly what the three of us are doing today is to let them know we don't appreciate them. We do not appreciate their ideology. We don't want it in Texas. It's got it. You're not going to get a friendly home here. Okay, this is not Chicago, and honestly, we want you here, but we don't want your attitude here.
I think it was interesting that a couple of years ago there was a statistic that said if you wanted to take a U-Haul trailer from Texas,
I saw that.
if you want to take a U-Haul trailer from Texas to California, it was $1,300. Okay. But if you wanted to return that U-Haul trailer back to Texas, it was $2,600.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's twice the money to drag that thing out here, okay, or that truck or whatever it is, twice the money. And so people actually are, Oracle, Elon Musk, all those people, they are coming to Texas. And
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
The problem is they're coming to Texas with California views, and it is going to ruin this state. It's going to go blue in the not too distant future if we don't stand up on our back legs and do something about it.
I think we have to, and of course, we never recommend a kinetic response ever, but we do recommend we have to look. Republicans have to, as you alluded to, like 4 episodes ago, grow some balls. That's reality. People have got to stop being afraid. They've got to stand up to these guys because they're going to stand up.
I'm sick of all the talk continually. You hear people talk about the left this, the left this, the left that. What are they doing?
I get you.
You know what the left is doing.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the hell you wearing that Christmas shirt for.
It's not a Christmas shirt.
That's not a Christmas shirt? What is that?
It's winter holidays.
Man, you were like one surprise a second over there. I mean, I'm blown away by it. But I do have my Santa in the middle of the table, though. So, yeah. So anyhow, you're going to sit down with George, and you're going to ask him, hey, man, how'd you feel the day you slapped that soldier?
Both soldiers. He slapped 2 of them. So anyway, no, George was an interesting guy, and I have to crank back the clock all the way. He went to VMI, and then he went to the West Point, and then
I didn't know he went to VMI.
Because I read several books. I told you.
No, I know. I just was telling you I didn't know that. I thought he was a West Pointer.
Yeah, he was. He graduated from West Point. But anyways,
Charlie's getting triggered on us.
As a lieutenant, this is typical of Patton. Okay, he knew that Blackjack Pershing was going down after Pancho Villa. So what he went over to do is he slept on his doormat, okay, out in front of his house until he came out of his house and said, "What are you doing here?" Okay, he says, "I want to go to Mexico. I want to be part of the 10th Cav that goes into Mexico and takes out Pancho Villa." And he was so impressed by the guy's initiative that he actually said, "Okay, come on, let's go." So he went down there and he showed his initiative down in Mexico, and it was kind of humorous. I mean, this is typical of Patton. What he did, he got into a I want to say it was a 1915 Chrysler. He rented this touring car, and he got a deer rifle, and he went up to some of these characters that were lieutenants of Pancho Villa, and he shot them on the doorstep. They were leaning up on rocker chairs or whatever, beer barrels or what, and he shot them, and he draped them over the front of this touring car, and he drove back out to
Patton did this?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
And I mean, this guy's a character. He is, he is so much fun. I would love to sit down and smoke a stogie with this dude.
I'd love to be there for that.
And so anyway,
how do you feel about Vietnam?
That's one of the first things that he did. I mean, in World War I, he was driving through France in this tank because he was a big tank commander, So he was driving through France in this tank, and he says, "Stop the damn tank." So he gets out and he gets on the fender of the tank, and he takes a piss. Okay, so he's taking this piss he's taking a piss, man. And so anyway, and all of a sudden his sniper shoots his ass, and he falls into a bomb crater.
He got shot?
Yeah, he got shot. He got a Purple Heart. And so anyway, he falls into a bomb crater, and all the tanks drive off and they start blowing the shit out of this, and they leave him there. They didn't know he spent the night in a bomb crater in France and he wounded. Okay, and so anyway, that's just some of the kind of colloquialism about Patton that is so funny, because I'll tell you, he married well. He was born in San Gabriel, California. And anyway, he married this chick whose father owned the San Gabriel Valley. And so anyway, he would check into every base with his polo ponies. I mean, and he went to the 1912 Olympics as a pentathlete. And he would have won. Everybody was shooting 22s, but he shot a 38 because he said, well, my shots went through the same damn holes. And anyway, he was right, but the judges didn't rule in his favor. He would have won the pentathlon medal, but anyway, his shots were not ruled to be the same. So it was interesting. He's a character.
When I went to A&M, and I was in the Corps, this was a rite of passage to watch the Patton movie, and where he's got in front of the American flag, all dressed up in his military couture, and he's got his helmet on, and I remember that line, "Would you put your hand in a pile of goose?" That 10 seconds later was your best friend.
Used to be your best friend's face.
Then you'll know. So, yeah, I would have. Unfortunately, those guys, those type of leaders, are only functional during wartime, and after that, they're out. They're so far out of their element, and they can't be warehoused, and they're. People are scared by him, and so maybe it was fitting that he died shortly, or in the way that he did at the end of the war. It's kind of
interesting how it's kind of he's such a warrior, and then he he was in the back of a touring car, and he went in a bar ditch in Heidelberg, Germany, and the back his head hit the back of the front seat in this particular car. And he broke his neck, apparently, and he lived for another 2 days, and then he was buried in Luxembourg.
I didn't know that. Heidelberg, huh?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So interesting stuff. I mean, he was, he used to bitch slap people who had PSD.
PSD.
Yeah.
So
he didn't believe in it.
So he died in Heidelberg, but they had to transport his body back to Luxembourg?
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting deal.
Maybe where the HQ was. Who knows?
Yeah. I've been to Heidelberg.
Really?
Yeah, I just was there last year. Yeah, it's a wonderful city.
Yeah. Anyway, did you know that when he stepped on the battlefield in Europe, he actually said that, "I've been here. It's like I fought the battles here before."
He had that sense of
big reincarnated guy.
Yeah, reincarnation.
Yeah. So that's something about him that I find very interesting. Being,
Yeah. Where was it in Africa where he made the comparison to the Peloponnesian War?
Yes.
And he felt like he had been there before. El Alamein, isn't that where it was, or somewhere a little bit
North Africa?
That's where he beat Rommel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was a genius, military genius.
Yeah,
There's no doubt in my mind. Of course, there's no one in U.S. history in terms of military that you can compare in terms of military strategy and tactics to Patton. Patton is the genius when it comes to war.
Yeah, seize the day. I mean, that was his thing.
Yeah.
Seize the day.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to get another one like that.
Good stuff, Cato. Good stuff.
He's got a master's degree in history. He's not nearly as dumb as he looks.
Well, I'll tell you what. He's right on point.
No, he knows his shit. He's my color man.
Probably knows all about Van Clausewitz then.
Yes, on war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now he actually, the book actually allowed the Germans to modernize their military to become the first modern military or army.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, you guys can share numbers after the show. So who do you have? Who do you want to?
I had another person. I had another person in mind, but anyway.
Let me just say. So we got 15 minutes left. We got to wrap this up because we got to go over. We're going to meet a guy that fought in the Rhodesian War after this is over with and makes custom-made arms. And I'm going to make a podcast with him.
I'll make it quick. Winston Churchill.
Oh shit!
How can you?
I was going to do Winston.
Yeah, right.
Because he's a Churchillist. He hates Winston Churchill because Churchill screwed up World War One in his
I tell
mind.
you what, Winston Churchill did so many good things. But if you read a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island, you'll understand that Winston Churchill got us into World War One.
Well,
He's part of it.
part of it.
Yes.
Part of a big cog. But so obviously he made a big mistake there, but he's also part of the club, though, to me, that is really successful during the wartime, cleaving off the example of World War One, obviously. But what he did to his country and how he led them to victory in World War II can never be underlooked and never underestimated. And then immediately after that, he was shoved asunder.
Amazing statesman. Amazing statesman.
He was.
And a drum.
Total.
And I respect that. I really do.
And what's the problem?
Huh?
What's the problem?
As a matter of fact, why don't you pass me that whiskey over there?
This one.
It's perfect.
Why don't you just frickin' fill that thing up?
Holy cow.
I'm just trying to be
It's not open.
elusive. Okay.
Lucid. By the way, you used a 7-syllable word earlier, colloquialism. That's 7 syllables. If you cut yourself, I swear to God, I'm gonna let you bleed out, dude. I'm just gonna let you thump around on the floor with your heart pumping blood.
Would you rather me cut myself or cut this?
Just cut the hand that's farthest away from your heart.
It's done.
You did. Look at you. Is he gonna have to tip you after the show?
Yeah, I am.
God's sakes.
No, I just want to meet your girlfriend.
I truly am.
Your Chinese girlfriend. Fang
I know.
Fang.
Fang Fang.
Her name is Fong. It's not Fang. He's driving us over there, so you don't have to worry.
No,
Okay, good.
she has a buddy that wants to meet me.
She does not.
Yes.
What's his name?
Bang Bang.
There you go.
He's a real sleeper, man. I'm telling you.
He's all in.
You should have seen what he said last time. He got the critiquing toilets in America because he didn't like the splash up on his ani. So, okay, but anyhow, Winston Churchill, I'd agree. He's actually on my list, but I put it as an alternate just in case you mentioned him. And the reason that I like the guy is because in about 1918, he went to Cuba, and he discovered this thing called a cigar, and he was almost immediately addicted to cigars. And he smoked 8 to 10 cigars per day. Matter of fact, he came up with his own. Well, it's called the Vitola. It was made in 1895, and that was his famous cigar that he really liked. It was a 7-inch long by 47 ring size, and this guy, they said he smoked like 4,000 cigars. No, he had 4,000 cigars in his humidor. That's insane.
Hey, do they make cigars for Chinese or
No,
like Asians?
They do not.
They don't?
They do not. It's a fact. As a matter of fact, on the label, if you look at the cigars that I have, it says no Chinese or Vietnamese allowed.
Yeah, you got me the 6-inch one.
Yeah, I know. I exaggerate, don't I? So, sorry. I figured I'd make everybody feel better. So anyhow, what else? I know you're going to say more because you know a lot about history. So why did you pick
Just a
Churchill?
funny, intelligent guy. I would love to meet him and talk about shit.
So, yeah, the thing about him that I liked was he had a saying, the 3 things that he liked most in life, as gentlemen age in life, he goes, I like good cigars. He goes, I like good drink, and I love good discussion. And to some extent, the only thing that we're not doing here
is smoking a stogie,
smoking.
which I tell you right now, we need to solve that problem.
I know. Well, my wife would solve the problem of my life and her life insurance with me if I did it. I popped one off in the cigar or in the garage last night, and it still stinks out there. I'm gonna catch so much shit. She's not gonna be here for a week, though, so I'm hoping.
The fan out there, you'll be fine.
No fan. So anyhow, what else you got on him, man?
Me? Or?
Yeah, you.
Well, I was going to do Genghis Khan.
You only get one. I mean, we only got a
Okay,
limited
it's
amount
your
of time.
turn.
for crying
No,
out loud.
talk about Churchill. I want to know about your feelings on Churchill
Okay,
and what
he
you.
was just so intelligent that anything you said, he has something to say back. And not just funny, but just intelligent. I mean, his mind, his wit, his just charisma.
You know, I don't have any argument with it. He was the most remarkable statesman ever to come out of the British Isles. Okay, I mean, he is an amazing individual that I wouldn't mind having a stogie with him myself.
Yeah.
But my point my point in that I have an issue with him is that he brought us into World War One. He brought the United States into World War One, and he did it when the Lusitania sailed from New York with 125 Americans on board. And then when it got to the British Isles, he knew that the U-boat was operating in those waters, and he pulled as the ranking officer of the Navy Admiralty. He pulled the destroyer escort from the Lusitania, and it was sunk. And the Lusitania, those 125 lives, brought the American people into World War One.
Remember, we were not in the war for 3 years.
Right.
There is no way that you can get America to get into the war. He saw that as an opportunity. Remember, we're judging him from our standard.
From our point in
Our
history.
point, yes. Imagine if you're back there, back then, as a leader of any country.
That's a very fair argument. And by the way, that's something that many people are guilty of, that they tend to, and that's what's happened with these Civil War heroes, that we're judging them from our point in time compared to where we were there. And nobody realized it. I will just tell you that most of these monuments, does anybody know when most of these Civil War monuments were built? You think it was 1865? Hell no, it wasn't. It was 1920. And you want to guess what coincidentally happened just a year earlier? Had two W's and a one in front of it.
Yeah.
And who were most of the generals? Who were most of the people that went and died in World War One? It's people from the South.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were allowed to build all these monuments to show, respect for these Civil War generals. It had nothing to do with racism or any of the other crap. It's America was showing deference to all the soldiers that went over there. Theodore Roosevelt, a lot of people don't know it. He lost his son on July the 4th, Kermit, when his wife died. His wife died on July the 4th. But his son Kermit was flying for the French and died in a freaking soft-wheeled camel. You can still find that on YouTube. You can see video of it.
Let me go back to this. You brought that up. Great point. Let me ask you to this. That was 19. That was 1920. 1965, the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution.
Pueblo.
No, Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. What Johnson did, he lied about we were under attack. That's how he got us involved in the war. Now, how are you going to justify that?
It's happened. It's no different in World War II, because we got pulled by the Brits into World War II as well. We sure as hell did not want to go to World War One or World War II.
I'm talking about a sitting president that lied about the incident. Remember the Gulf of Tonkin?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Tonkin Gulf Resolution.
Yeah, that's how we got into the war in Vietnam. Now, Winston Churchill, he wanted us to get involved so that he could save his country.
Well, I think the difference is the fact that there's a British diplomat that wants blood from America. Okay, I think that's and it's not a sitting president, okay, that wants to put blood into another country. I think that by having a foreign country draw that blood is a different argument, and so that's kind of why, Johnson committed us to Vietnam, okay, and so that being the case, it's different than having a British citizen commit our blood to Europe.
I'm not here to defend Churchill. I'm just saying that given what he had to make a choice. And that choice was to save his country by getting us involved at whatever cost.
Well, I'm gonna have to time out on this one because we're gonna be rolling here in about 5 minutes, and I want to talk about my favorite guy that I would do anything.
George Michael.
Guy's a dick.
Sounds like first syllable. It's like Jeopardy. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say now. All right. So one of my favorites, one of the guys that I have, you got me. I'm eating my
Cato
tongue.
and me are just having fun.
You guys,
Okay.
hey Cato, get a room. You know, it's amazing though. This guy's had like one sip of that, and he's 3 sheets to the wind.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Look,
done.
I'm red.
Oh, by the way, I have a question for you.
Who's the doofus you want to smoke a stogie with?
But let me ask you this:
No, who's the doofus?
Me. You, sir, you called me something in Vietnamese before the show, and I've been looking all my Vietnamese translators, and I cannot get a definitive definition for it. So, can you give it to us again? What's it called?
I took him to Chinese restaurant. I love Chinese. There's plenty on the menu that you can choose. I chose him a dish last time. He didn't like it.
What was it? I don't remember.
Come some dumb guy.
There you go. That's right.
So I said, Cato, can you tell me what that means? I mean, I think I understand some of it, but it doesn't sound so Vietnamese as it sounds
It
more.
has your name in it, guy.
Yeah. And come to find out, my name is used quite frequently in the Vietnamese language.
Yes.
But you spell G-A-I,
C-A-I, Kai.
but it's pronounced Guy.
Yes. Come of some dumb guy.
Yeah. That's just so wrong. Okay. So here we go. We're going to finish this up. And I want to talk about Papa Hemingway. And to me, he's one of the greatest.
Blow your head out. Blow your brains out.
Always
with a
go to the
shotgun.
negative.
Go ahead.
Always go to the negative.
Okay, that's fine. I want to talk to that guy.
So the guy makes one mistake in his life. It's just like Winston Churchill. He's such a hater.
One big mistake.
The final mistake.
Yeah, I know. But he just, he was done. I mean, he was spent, and he didn't want to.
Go ahead and talk about Papa.
So anyhow, Papa, I went to Cuba about first time. I've been 4 times now. First time I went about 4 years ago, and I went to his ranch called Finca Vieja, and just a beautiful place. It's actually in the movie that you can see on Netflix where they talk about him. And my thing was I just wanted to kind of see if I couldn't grab the essence of what his existence life was like, because he was in his prime. He had already received a Nobel, literary Nobel, and what else? What do the writers get? There's another award that those
Pulitzer.
get. He'd received the Pulitzer in literature as well, all in the same within a year of each other. So he was kind of like at the apex of his career, and he was staying in a hotel called the Ambos Mundos. And I met the elevator operator at the Ambos Mundos, who was the son of the elevator operator in 1959, 1960, when Papa lived there. The locals called him Papa Hemingway, probably for good reason. I think he was Papa to a couple of Cubans. So if you see any like 6'4" Cubans walking around here, I'm thinking he may have had something to do with it.
Was he a communist
No,
sympathizer?
not at all.
Not at all?
Absolutely not at all. As a matter of fact, he was a really brave guy. I mean, he was at the beaches in Normandy. He was writing about the beaches in Normandy. He was also in Paris when the Americans and the English were fighting over who was going to liberate Paris. But yeah, he was a hell of a guy. And so when he would get up in the morning, the Ambos Mundos, he would look out the window and he would look at the Castillo to see where the big Cuban flag that they still flag, it's like huge, size of a football field. And they would look and see where the wind was coming from. And if the wind was not coming from the proper direction, then that meant he couldn't go fishing. So that meant that day was going to be dedicated to 3 things, pretty much in this order: drinking, meeting a young lady during drinking, and then going to his room in the Ambos Mundos, writing, and then some sporting events later on that resulted from step number one, the young lady that he met at the Floridita. And it's still, the Floridita is still there. Yeah, they still serve the daiquiris that he loved on Calle Obispo. And for me to go back and walk down that street, it was just fantastic to be able, to do that. But just a quick note: his boat was called El Pilar, and the El Pilar was the captain of it was Gregorio Fuentes. That guy was from Cajamar in Cuba, and a lot of people speculate that The Old Man in the Sea was written directly as a result of that captain and his boat called the Pilar. So that's who I'd love to sit with. The guy loved to smoke cigars, and he definitely loved to drink. And he just loved to talk about life and philosophy. He will tell you very quickly, he spent in 1921, he was part of that, what they call the outcasts, or the expats from America that had moved to Paris, and Gertrude Stein and all those crowds would sit around, and that's where he got his ideas on how to write. They were really brutal on him. They were like, shorten it up, make it punchy, get right to the point, and that's where he developed his literary style.
Let me ask you this: was he part of the elitist group?
No way.
No, he wasn't.
No, he didn't go to a Harvard or anything. I think he went to Michigan or Illinois. I'm not for sure, but he definitely was not. He was definitely, I guess you would call him the bourgeois, but he was not an elitist by any stretch. This guy would bear. One of the things he did for fun was to get into fistfights with people. He had a couple of people that he liked to fight with, particularly when he had moved to Key West after he fled Cuba. He's a hell of a cat, man. He was a man's man. And I wish that in America, we would get back to it. Now, you smoke a cigar and everybody's like, oh my God, you're going to blow us up. You're going to kill us. We're going to die instantly from a cigar. Oh my gosh.
So his daughter, what's her name? It's nothing like
Mariel.
It's nothing like it.
No, but that's also often the case. And I think his dad committed suicide. He committed suicide, and one of his daughters committed suicide. I don't know if it was Mariel. I can't remember who it was. But suicide ran in the family, and it was it was straight up medical illness. It was depression. He had wicked depression.
I tell you what, I respect Hemingway quite a bit in that, first of all, he used to drink at Sloppy Joe's and then and walk down Duval Street to his mansion down
Stumble.
there. And whatever. But to his 6-toed cats. Okay. But, Hemingway was truly one of the American icons who could write to a level of American supremacy. Okay, and I really did appreciate his prowess in the ability to write a novel. I mean, he was remarkable. The Snows of Kilimanjaro, The Old Man in the Sea, all the things.
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Oh, you bet. I mean, all good stuff. And he is probably one of the premier writers that America has produced. And I get you, old Pappy was quite a guy, okay? And your selection is one that I respect quite a bit. I just hate the fact that he had to end it with a shotgun. I hate the fact.
Yeah, but maybe you don't understand mental illness, because mental illness is there was a guy that you and I guarantee you, I can't remember his name now. I wish I could remember his name, but his son committed suicide with a shotgun, and he had depression so bad that
you're right.
It was off the chart.
You're right. I don't get that.
And he would literally, this guy had beyond depression. He would actually see physical beings in the room with him that would torment him. Wow. Schizophrenia, that's what it's called.
Yeah, you're right. I don't get that.
And for us, we don't get it. We don't get it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't put too big of a red X on Ernest Hemingway just because he walked out that way. It was really.
Well, talk about suicide and mental illness. Well, with the pandemic,
it's gone through the roof.
It's crazy. More Americans kill themselves every day than ever.
Yeah. It's terrible.
So,
So anyway, well, I hope everybody's enjoyed the show as always. I'm always looking for talent, which apparently is not on the set today. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. And we can do a Zoom if we have to, but I'm looking to talk about things that people are interested in. And as always, I appreciate you listening to us quite a bit. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Tell a friend. Come again. Take care. We're out of here.